So today we will discuss the population dynamics, the chapter of population, about demography, the basic terms, right? So what will be the coverage of this session? So we will discuss the basic terms like birth rate, death rate, growth rate, what is the meaning of total fertility rate, life expectancy, maternal mortality rate, IMR, CMR. So all these are the basic terms which you will find regularly in news, right? After that, we will discuss three theories of population. So these theories include theories of Malthus, theory given by the Marx, and theory given by the theory of demographic transition, right? So many of these things are not in the study material, and you will find that you will get a lot of information, conceptual things in this particular discussion, and I will give you a copy of this PPT after this class. Okay. Then we will discuss some of the important trends in India's population or India's demography, like the concept of demographic dividend, age pyramid, missing women, all these things. Then there are different family planning programs started by Indian government from time to time, including the National Population Policy 2010. And in the last, we will also see what are the government interventions to control the population as of now. And lastly, we will see the Population Control Bill 2019, right? So this is the current affair issue. And if we see from the examination point of view, then this chapter is not highly important. You will not find much of the questions in the previous year. Rarely any question is asked, but this chapter will build your foundation for reading the newspaper, and the census in India takes place every 10 years. So last time it took in 2011, and now it will be conducted next. Like the process has to start this year. It is delayed because of the corona lockdown, and the data will come next year, right? So next year this topic will become highly important, right? So this topic will become highly important for the 2021 examination because the census will be conducted and the data will be coming next year. So you will start seeing a lot of news immediately after the lockdown is over. So that is how this population chapter also becomes important for the examination point of view in the upcoming time, right? So starting with the basic concept. The first concept is birth rate, or this is also called as the crude birth rate. So birth rate or crude birth rate. So this is also called as CBR. CBR means crude birth rate or gross birth rate, right? Now just understand this formula. I don't think any questions will be coming from these things, but still you should be clear, right? So that when you are reading the newspaper, you are clear about the basic fundamentals. You do not know, UPSC might ask the question in the prelims, or you might get a question in the interview also, right? So you should have the basic understanding of all these terms from that point of view. And even for the mains examination, the questions might come. For example, there was a question whether population is resulting into the poverty or poverty is resulting into the population. Give your arguments. So these type of question can be solved if you have the basic understanding about this term, You can utilize these terms in the examination hall only if you have gone through the basic meaning of these terms and you understand them very clearly, right? So starting from the birth rate or crude birth rate, it means the number of live birth. Live birth means those children who did not die at the time of birth during the year, divided by estimated mid-year population. Why we are taking mid-year population? Because this is the average of start of the year and end of the year. So this gives the average population, right? So this gives the average population. That is why we are taking the mid-year population, right? Multiplied by 1000. So this is the birth rate. Then next concept is death rate. The next concept is death rate. So it indicates the number of death divided by mid-year population multiplied by 1000, right? So all these figures are per 1000. All these figures are per 1000. That means if I say birth rate is 17, that means 17 per 1000. If I say death rate is 10, that means 10 people are dying per 1000 in a particular year. Now, what is the growth rate? So growth rate is the difference between the two, that is the birth rate and the death rate, right? So crude birth rate minus crude death rate, this is the growth rate. This is the growth rate, and this actually leads to the population increase. This leads to the population increase, and this gives the annual growth rate, current annual growth rate. Then we have infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate. So this infant mortality rate means the number of death of children less than 1 year of age. The point to note is it is talking about less than 1 year of age in a year. In a year divided by, so as a proportion of number of live birth. So those children who did not die at the time of their birth, right? So they were born live, right? They were not born dead, right? So they were born live. That those are called live birth, right? So number of death of children less than 1 year of age in a year divided by number of live birth in the same year multiplied by 1000. So this is the IMR, infant mortality rate. Then we have child mortality rate, CMR, right? So number of death of children less than 5 years of age, right? So in case of infant, this is less than 1 year. In case of child, this is less than 5 years. The rest of the things remain the same. Next, we have maternal mortality rate, maternal mortality ratio. The total number of female death. So it is the death of the female, death of the pregnant women due to complications of pregnancy, childbirth, or within 42 days of delivery, right? So either at the time of childbirth or during the pregnancy or within 42 days of the delivery, right? From perpetual causes in a year during a given in an area, for example in the India or in the Uttar Pradesh, in the Delhi, during a given year, divided by the total number of live births in the same area and year, right? So it is divided by the total number of live births in the same area and year, right? And it can be per 1000 also, it can be per lakh also, right? So for example, in India, we have the target of 1 per lakh or 100 per 1000, right? So this figure can be either one, like we can take it per lakh also, and we can take it per 1000 also. So when you are reading about the maternal mortality rate, please read it carefully, the data, whether the data is given per lakh or the data is given per 1000. Then we have total fertility rate, total fertility rate. So this total fertility rate means the estimated number of children born to each female during the birthing age of 15 to 45 years, right? So एक female कितने बच्चों को जन्म देती है during her child bearing age. So this child bearing age considered to be age between the 15 to 45 years, right? So during this time, how many children are born? Number of children born divided by the number of women between in the childbearing age, right? So this is the total fertility rate. How much is the target of total fertility rate, or how much is the replacement rate? Replacement rate कितना होता है? किसी को कुछ idea? Anyone can give? How much is the replacement level of TFR? कोई बताएगा? Replacement का मतलब क्या है? पहली बात तो replacement का it means that how many children should be born to a woman which can replace the women and her husband. ठीक है, तो हम जो हमारे दो वाला जो कॉन्सेप्ट होता है वो रिप्लेसमेंट के लिए होता है, that the couple should be able to replace themselves by producing a particular number of children. So this replacement level is considered to be 2.1, right? Why this is not 2? Normally 2 होना चाहिए, one for husband, one for wife, but this is considered to be 2.1 considering the contingency of death. ठीक है, that there will be death, so considering that, the replacement level is considered to be little bit higher than the 2.1. so this 2.1 has been determined by various population experts. Now marriage rate, number of marriage in the year divided by male population, not very popular but still you should know. Life expectancy, the number of years which an individual at a given age could expect to live at present mortality rate. So considering the present mortality rates, the present situation of health, etc., how many number of years a person is expected to live, right? How much is the average age of the person, right? This is the life expectancy. Sex ratio, it is defined as the number of female per 1000 males, right? Or this is also called as female male ratio, or FMR, right? There is one more term, child sex ratio. So child sex ratio is basically number of girls up to 6 years of age per 1000 boys up to 6 years of age, right? So in case of child mortality rate, we are considering 5 years of age. In case of sex ratio, we are considering 6 years of age, right? And why we are calculating child sex ratio differently? So that we can identify how much is the recent sex ratio. अभी recent में कितना sex ratio है? So government is taking a lot of measures to improve the sex ratio, to improve the female ratio among the male. So what is the result of that? उसका result क्या है? Whether those efforts are leading to increase in the sex ratio or not. So that is visible from the child sex ratio, right? So we have the schemes like Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Yojana. All those schemes, whether these schemes are resulting into some benefit or not. So all those things are can be calculated only if we know what is the child sex ratio. Now, sex ratio in India. This is the figure starting from 1921, right? So you can see in 1921 it was 955, comparatively better, and then it declined. Then it declined further. In 1971 it declined further. In 1927 it declined further. 1991 it declined further, right? 2001 it improved, and then in 2011 it further improved, right? So it is improving slowly in the last around 20 years. Next is dependency ratio. So this dependency ratio means how many people are dependent upon the working age population, right? So children between 0 to 14 years of age and the population more than 65 years of age, right? So children cannot work, they cannot earn. Similarly, the people more than 65 years of age, they can also not earn. This is the assumption here. They are dependent, and they are dependent upon whom? They are dependent upon the population between 15 to 64 years of age, right? So it is not the total population. Please be careful here in the denominator. We do not have population of the total population, right? We are taking the working age population. This 15 to 64, this is called working age population, right? And multiplied by 100, right? So for example, if I say 65% is the dependency ratio, then it means 65 people are dependent on the 100 people, like that, right? So this dependency ratio should be less. Then if this dependency ratio is less, then it means we have the demographic dividend, right? Then there is a term called density of population, right? So in Indian census, density is defined as the number of persons living per square kilometer. You should understand this, that this is the number of person living per square kilometer, right? In 2005, the density was 345. Family size. It means the total number of person in a family, and in demographically, like demographically, is it joint family or is it a nuclear family? So here the concept is very simple. The total number of children born by the women during her childbearing age, right? So this is the demographic family size, right? So it is referring to the nuclear family. Literacy and education. What is the meaning of literacy? So a person is deemed literate if he or she can read and write with understanding. So क्या criteria है? Read and write with understanding in any language, right? And age above 7 years. So if a person is of more than 7 years and can read and write with understanding in any language, reading or writing दोनों ही होनी चाहिए in any language, and the person's age should be above 7 years, then the person is supposed to be a literate person. If the person is not able to do either reading or writing, then the person is not called to be literate, the person is illiterate. In 2011, which was the last census, this rate was 74.04%. Now there is another term called migration, right? So what is the meaning of migration? It means the movement of people from one place to another, right? So people are moving from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar to the states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, right, in search of the job, right? So that is migration. The movement of people from one place to another for the purpose of taking permanent or semi-permanent residence, usually across a political boundary. So the political boundary can be at the state level or it can be at the national level. So people are moving from India to the USA, from India to the UK. So that is also another, that is international migration, or that is a cross-border migration. If we see within the India across the state, that is called internal migration, right? Immigration. What is immigration? That is people moving in to another country, right? Moving in. So how many people are coming from outside India to settle into India? That is called immigration, right? Emigration, the people who are going away from their home country. So how many people are leaving India for the in search of job, or maybe because of marriage, or because of study, right? So all those are the people who are emigrating. So example has been given here. If you were to move to England, you will be emigrating from India and immigrating into England. Migrant. What is the meaning of migrant? Migrant is a person who at the time of census is residing. The the main point is residence, right? Residence can be for any purpose. It can be because of marriage. It can be because not because of marriage, because in case of marriage, like we do not consider it to be migrant, but because especially because of education and because of the employment, right? Census is residing at different place than his or her domicile. Domicile means the place of birth, right? तो कर्म भूमि और जन्म भूमि दोनों अलग अलग जब होती है तो उसको हम बोलते हैं माइग्रेंट. Nowadays we are facing a big problem, like these migrants are facing the big problem because of the lockdown. We can hear a lot of people are moving from Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu to their hometowns in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh and so on, which is a very difficult situation. The government is taking measures, but still those measures are insufficient. Marriage being the most common reason, right? And females के लिए तो marriage होता है और males के लिए employment होता है. Is more than 65 or less than 15 years. Economic productive age is between 15 to 64 years. Now, give me a second. Can you hear me clearly, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Hello, sir.
हाँ जी पूछिए.
सर ये डिपेंडेंट एज ग्रुप आई थिंक सर 60 में होना चाहिए आज मेरे विचार.
आपके विचार से कुछ नहीं होगा मेरे दोस्त, ठीक है? सरकार के विचार से होगा जो भी होगा. डोंट वरी, ठीक है? डोंट वरी. कुछ रिपोर्ट्स में 59 इयर्स भी दिया हुआ होता है, ठीक है? You are right. So normally there are many committees, there are many government reports which keep coming. They define it 59 years also. जो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ that is standard, वो एक standard definition है, ठीक है? तो different policies आती हैं, जैसे national population policy आती है, अभी census आएगा, तो they will tell कि वो डाटा जो है वो 59 वाला है या 64 वाला है. तो आप सही कह रहे हो, कुछ 59 वाला भी हो सकता है. In some cases it is also taken as between 15 to 59 years of age. That is also taken. But when data comes, data will tell clearly whether they are talking about 64 years of age but or 59 years of age. But this 64 is the standard definition. This is the standard definition. Okay, do not worry.
Okay, sir.
Great. So raise your hand whenever you want to ask any doubt. Okay. Okay. Now, demographic bonus. So what is demographic bonus, or we also call this demographic dividend? Sorry. We also call it demographic dividend, right? So when dependency ratio is declining because of decline in fertility until it starts to rise again because of increasing longevity, right? So simply, in simple words, just understand, when dependency ratio is less and working age population is high, then we call it demographic bonus or demographic. In fact, let me tell you more precisely, this is demographic window of opportunity. This demographic window of opportunity will be converted into demographic dividend when we are able to harness the benefits which are available because of the high working age population. So for example, in India, as of now we have around 65% people who are in the working age population, who are in the economically productive age group. अभी हमारे पास जो रेशियो है that is approximately 65%. Now that is the demographic window of opportunity. वो opportunity है, that is not exactly the demographic dividend. So if we provide good skills, suitable education, and those people are able to contribute to the economic activities, those people are productively engaged, then only we call it demographic dividend. ठीक है, तो जब हम एक उस अपॉर्चुनिटी को, उस विंडो ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी को फाइनल रिजल्ट में कन्वर्ट कर लेंगे, तभी हम उसको बोलेंगे डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, राइट? सो फॉर एग्जांपल, आपके पास में एग्जाम का अटेम्प्ट तो है, यू हैव द अटेम्प्ट टू अपीयर इन द यूपीएससी एग्जामिनेशन, सो दैट इज द अपॉर्चुनिटी. Just by having the opportunity, it is not necessary that you will be becoming the civil servant. So the moment you become the civil servant, that will be the demographic dividend for your parents. अभी आप अपने पेरेंट्स के लिए अपॉर्चुनिटी हो, उसी तरह से जो हमारा देश है, हमारी कंट्री है, हमारी कंट्री के लिए जो इकोनॉमिकली प्रोडक्टिव एज ग्रुप है, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक अपॉर्चुनिटी प्रोवाइड करता है. उसको डिविडेंड में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए वी शुड प्रोवाइड देम गुड हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, स्किल्स, इंफॉर्मेशन. ठीक है, so that is the concept of demographic dividend, right? The opposite of demographic dividend is demographic burden, right? So when total dependency ratio is increasing because of increasing old age dependency ratio, right? So this is also unavoidable because of demographic transition that happens over a period of time. तो पहले डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड आता है, अगर डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड को हार्नेस करते हो तो अच्छी बात है, अदरवाइज डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड तो डेमोग्राफिक बर्डन तो आना ही आना है. So when this 65% population in India, it becomes old, so at that point of time most of the population in India will be old age, they will be dependent, so that time will be called demographic burden. So for example, the countries like Italy में हम देख रहे हैं कि this corona is having the maximum this adverse impact, right? The mortality rate is very, very high in Italy. Why? Because the average ratio of the old age is very, very high, right? So old age dependency ratio is very, very high. That is why the Italy is facing this problem of high mortality after the corona issue, right? So this is called demographic burden. Next is population density. We already discussed about it. So number of person living per square kilometer. This is definition as per the census of India. If we see current trend, this is rising. So आजकल population density बढ़ रही है, right? So if we see 2011 data, so this is the data which we are having, the latest data. 382 person per square kilometer. This was the density in 2011, right? Highest population density was in Delhi, 11,297, right? Urbanization. What is the meaning of urbanization? The number of person residing in urban localities. Okay? So they are called urban population, right? And this urban areas can be categorized based upon two aspects. I already discussed this thing earlier also in the chapter of infrastructure. So either it can be statutory town, or it can be census town. Okay? So what is the meaning of statutory town? That means the places which are having the municipal corporation or municipal area committee or town committee or notified area or cantonment board of the military, etc. So they are called statutory town. So they might have the population of 5,000 or not. So population will not decide whether those areas are urbanized, like those are the town or not. It is the statutory status, like whether it is having the municipal corporation or it is a cantonment board or town committee, etc. Okay. Apart from this, in addition to this, if any area is having population of 5,000 or more, plus the density is more than 400, this is not 1,000, this is 400 per square, yeah, 400 per square kilometer, 1000 per square mile, right? And at least 3/4 of the adult mob population is working in areas other than agriculture, right? So three criteria: the total population is having 5,000 or more, the density is 400 or more per square kilometer, and at least 75% of the adult male 75% of adult male, they are employed in any work other than agriculture. So they are employed in industry, or they are employed in सर्विस सेक्टर एटसेट्रा, ठीक है? तो उसको बोलते हैं सेंसस टाउन, राइट? So the number of people who are living either in statutory town or in census town, both of them combined as a percentage of total population, they are called, like, that is basically called urbanization, right? This is a new concept, the concept of missing women, right? So what is the meaning of missing woman? So for example, the desired sex ratio is 1000, right? And actual sex ratio is 950. So the difference between the desired sex ratio and the actual sex ratio, this is called missing women. So these 50 women are missing. These 50 women are missing. This is the concept of missing women, right? So it refers to the shortfall of women population as compared to the desired women population in a country. Generally, it is measured through female-male ratio or simply sex ratio. So sex ratio is used to calculate this missing women in the sex composition, and this missing women is most prominent in the countries like Asian economies, Middle East, and North African countries. If we talk about India, in India, we have already seen this sex ratio. So in India, we have the female to male ratio of 940 as per the 2011 census. That means around 60 women are missing per 1,000 men, right? If we see across the states, southern states are actually doing better in overcoming the problem of low female-male ratio. As per data of 2011, Kerala's female to male ratio is 1.084. That is surplus. So we do not have any missing women in the Kerala. However, the Bimaru states कौन से आते हैं? Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, they are doing very bad. Especially those states which are having higher economic growth rate, Punjab and Haryana, they are having very, very low sex ratio as compared to India's sex ratio, right? So these are the very developed states also having very good per capita income, but because of some outdated traditions, because of patriarchal mindset, because of dominance of men in the decision making, these states of Punjab and Haryana are having the low sex ratio. Although after this Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Yojana, the status is improving comparatively. Now, coming to the demographic theories, right? So till now we discussed the basic concepts. Now we will discuss the demographic theories. So we have total 3 demographic theories. First is demographic transition theory. This demographic transition theory says that as country moves from pre-industrial era to the industrialized era, the pattern of birth and death rate keep changing. So from high birth rate, high death rate in the pre-industrial time, right? The country moves to the low death rate and low birth rate into the advanced industrial state, right? So this is called demographic transition theory, that how a country is transiting from one demographic status to another demographic status. We will discuss this theory in detail after this slide, right? So this is the first theory. The second theory is Malthus theory. Friends, this theory you should know, because I don't think that in the prelims examination they will be asking, but in the mains examination you will be able to quote some of these concepts in your answers, right? Malthus theory, what is the meaning of Malthus theory? So Malthus theory says that the resources increase in the arithmetical mean. Resources are increasing very, very slowly, but population increases exponentially in the geometric mean. Okay? The food resources are increasing in the arithmetic mean, and population resources are increasing in the geometric mean. So at one point of time there will be disaster, because the population will be very, very high and the available food resources will not be able to sustain that level of population. That is called demographic disaster. That is called demographic disaster, right? This is the Malthus theory. So to control the demographic disaster, Malthus has suggested that either the mankind should take the steps, preventive step. For example, delaying the marriage age, restricting the number of children. तो या तो जो इंसान है वही कंट्रोल कर ले अपनी एज, अपने पॉपुलेशन को, और otherwise the nature will control the population. Otherwise the nature will control the population through its own mechanism, in the form of famines, in the form of widespread disease, in the form of disasters like floods. So the nature will have its own way to control the population, right? So this is called the Malthus theory. This is called the Malthus theory. Third, the Marx theory. So Marx is always opposed to capitalism. So Marx says that it is not the people who are increasing the population, but it is the unequal distribution of resources, which has been caused because of the capitalism. So because of the capitalism, the distribution of resources is unequal. That is why there is widespread poverty, and because of poverty there is high level of population, right? So the reason of high population is not the people. The reason of high population is the unequal distribution of resources under the capitalist system, right? So this is the theory of Marx. We will discuss about it in more detail. So I am taking 2 minutes break. So for your benefit, okay. So now what is demography? Demography is the scientific study or statistical study of human populations की scientific or statistical study. It encompasses the study of, तो किस चीज की स्टडी करते हैं? We study the size, structure and the distribution of these populations. How much is the size? How much is, like, what is the structure? Structure in terms of age, in terms of gender, male, female, right? And distribution across the regions, across the different nations, across the state, and or spatial or temporal changes. So what are the changes between 2001 to 2011, between 2011 to 2021? All those changes are also studied in response to time, birth, migration, aging, and death. So considering all these things, we do the complete study. Now, first theory, that is the demographic transition theory, right? So this theory actually refers to the transition from high birth and death rate to low birth and death rate as the country develops from pre-industrial to industrialized economic system. I know you have not understood this term very clearly, but you will come to understand when I start discussion of this particular slide, right? So now watch this slide very carefully. Let us start this slide. So this slide is indicating the movement of a country from pre-industrial time to the post-industrial times, right? So let us see. This is the first stage. So there are total 5 stages. There are total 5 stages. This is the first stage. In the first stage, we call it high stationary. High stationary, or this is also called as early transition stage. Pre-transition stage. This is pre-transition stage. So at this stage, so this line is indicating birth rate, and this line is indicating death rate. Birth rate and death rate both are very high. Birth rate भी और death rate भी दोनों ही high level पर हैं. If both birth rate and death rate are high, then what will be the growth rate? So this natural increase means growth rate. The growth rate will be stable or slow, है ना? अगर birth rate भी high है, but death rate is also high, that means the growth rate will be low. क्योंकि जितने लोग पैदा होते हैं उतने ही expire भी हो जाते हैं, ठीक है? This situation happens in the least developed countries, those countries who do not have much resources, pre-industrial societies, right? And nowadays this might happen in the very few remote groups, right? Very few remote groups. So nowadays in this stage we find very few countries, right? So why the birth rate is high in these regions? The birth rate is high because most of these societies, their economic structure is having the major role of agriculture. So agriculture is the major occupation, and for agriculture they need high number of people. The agriculture is not technologically driven. Because agriculture is not technologically driven, so they need more number of children. As well as second reason is that because there is high death rate of the children, they do not have proper health facility. So the children are dying at an early age. So to avoid the loss of children, to manage this scenario of high death rate among the children, more and more birth rate is there. So people they give birth to more number of children because many children die at an early age. Apart from that, religious or social engagement and no family planning, these are the reasons for high birth rate. What are the reasons for high death rate? High death rate क्यों होता है? Because of disease, because of famine. So they don't have proper health system. Famines होते रहते हैं. The food resources are inadequate. Poor medical knowledge. Because of this, there are high death rate. ठीक है? So there is high death rate, high birth rate, and the population growth is very low. So this indicates the total population. So total population also remains low. In the next stage, as the country grows economically, as there increases the health facilities, as economic prosperity grows, as technological improvement take place, तो उससे क्या होता है? Death rate falls rapidly. ठीक है? So in the second stage, the birth rate remains same, it is high, but death rate it falls rapidly. Death rate आपका fall करना शुरू कर देता है, और death rate fall करने की वजह से the growth rate increases very rapidly, right? So you can see this is the growth rate, this is increasing very rapidly. So population is growing very rapidly. So birth rate remains high, death rate decreases rapidly. Because of that, the population growth rate becomes very high. Now, why this death rate comes down? This death rate comes down because of improvement in the medical care, because of clean water supply, sanitation, because of all those things, the death rate comes down, right? But birth rate remains same. So birth rate कम क्यों नहीं होता? Because this birth rate pattern do not change suddenly, because people do not know whether this low death rate will continue or not. So this habit do not change. आपने देखा होगा, suppose like if I say I have one brother and sister, so we are 3 children of my parents. जो मेरे parents हैं, my mother she has 5 brothers, my father he has 4 brothers and 2 sisters. So in my generation, average number of children is 2 to 3, right? Mostly 2. In my father's generation, average number of children is 5, 6, 7. ठीक है? और उनके जो previous generation है उसमें और ज्यादा होते थे. So this number of children, this it changes from generation to generation. So it takes long time to decrease the birth rate. It takes long time to decrease the birth rate, and death rate can be controlled by improving the medical facilities suddenly. So birth rate do not decline, but death rate declines, right? After this, we have next stage which is called late expanding. ठीक है? Late expanding. So in this case, the birth rate also start falling. ठीक है? Birth rate भी fall करना start हो जाता है. ठीक है? Why? Because people become more aware. They become aware about the adverse impacts of high population, and because population is increasing, right? पहले तो population ही कम थी, तो birth rate उन्होंने कम नहीं किया. अब population बढ़ चुकी है. Now they know that population needs to be controlled. Death rate is declining. Now children are not dying, right? पहले क्या होता था? If one woman is producing 2 children, one is sure to die. एक तो मरना ही मरना था. ठीक है? अभी क्या है कि both are alive. So the birth rate will automatically come down. Death rate is also falling, but slowly. ठीक है? So there is growth, but this growth is comparatively less rapid. So here you can see birth rate also start falling, and death rate is falling, but at very slow rate. And you can see the population growth is increasing, right? There is increase in the overall population, right? Why birth rate is declining? Because of better medical care, better diet, and because of that, few children are now needed. The next stage is low stationary stage. In this case, both birth rate and death rate remain low. The total population remains stable. Why birth rate is declining? Because of family planning, good health, improved status of women, and late marriages or absence of universal marriage. ठीक है? तो ये सब होता है आपका डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज में, जैसे यूएसए है, ब्राजील है, सॉरी जापान है, फ्रांस है, यूके है. So all these countries are having, they are located in this particular stage. And after this, in the next stage, the birth rate becomes further low, right? Birth rate becomes further low, and in this case, the birth of new children decreases, but the ratio of old person increases, right? So these are the societies, these are the countries where there is presence of demographic burden. यहाँ पर डेमोग्राफिक बर्डन होता है ज्यादा। डेमोग्राफिक बर्डन क्यों होता है? क्योंकि द न्यू चिल्ड्रन आर नॉट बीइंग बोर्न and the people are becoming older. So the societies like Germany, Italy, all these are in the fifth stage. ठीक है? So normally you will come across three stage of the demographic transition. Stage one, when there is high birth rate, high death rate. Stage two, when there is a high birth rate, low death rate. Stage three, high death, low death rate, low birth rate, right? But this 5 stage model, this is the refined version of the 3 stage theory. ठीक है? So this demographic transition theory, earlier it was 3 stage, then it was converted into 4 stage. Now this is in the 5 stage, and this can be further expanded to 6 stage. So ये चीज देख करके कि what happens after this 5th stage, what will be the status of next generation societies in the countries like Italy, उसको देख करके there can be 6 stage, but as of now there are only total 5 stages. ठीक है? So you can see here pre-transition, where both death rate and birth rate are high, population growth is low, young population, short lifespan. Every present day country has gone past this stage, right? Then we have early transition for developing country, rapid drop in death rate, but birth rate remains high. So I have discussed all of these. You can see. Now coming to India. India is in the 3rd stage, post-industrial late transition, right? So we are in the 3rd stage. India के बारे में आपको जानना है तो we are in the 3rd stage. That is why we are also having the opportunity for the demographic dividend. So India में we are having the opportunity for the demographic dividend, right? Then this is the stabilization period or post-transition stage 4. We have discussed each one of them in detail. ठीक है? So this is the another presentation, another slide about the total summary, right? Stage 5 in the countries like Germany, Italy. Now Japan is also in the stage 5, right? So in the original slide there are some changes. You can see these are the right statistics. Japan is in the 5th stage, India is in the 3rd stage. Okay? The same thing reproduced another way. Now concept of optimum population. ठीक है? तो हम लोगों ने देखा there are 5 stages. What is the meaning of optimum population? So optimum population means for the given level of resources, how much should be ideal level of population which can harness these resources in the most optimum manner without burdening these resources and without having the shortage of people to harness these resources. So how much should be the ideal level of population to harness these resources? That is called optimum population. That is called optimum population. Now, demographic transition in India. If we see in India, the death rate began to fall after 1920. ठीक है? India में death rate fall करना start हुआ. That is, we entered into the 2nd stage after the 1920. But the birth rate remained high up to 1960, opening up a gap and consequent population growth. So there was high population growth because death rate were declining after 1920 and the birth rate was increasing up to 1960. The birth rate began to fall much later after 1960, but death rate continued to decline, continuing the population growth. The gap seems to have narrowed in the last decade. In the last decade, this gap is narrowing and a small decline in the population growth rate. So between 2001 to 2011, there was a small decline in the population growth rate. I am not saying decline in the population. I am saying decline in the growth rate. So this growth rate was more than 2% per annum between 1991 to 2001. From 2001 to 2011, the rate is less than 2%. We will see in the upcoming slides. So India is moving from middle transitional stage to the late transitional stage. So you can see here, India was in first stage before 1920. Before 1920, we were having high birth rate. Why? Because of lack of knowledge of birth control, how to control the birth. Children were considered to be the workers. So most of our children, most of our people, they were working in the agriculture sector. In the agriculture sector, more number of hands are appreciated because we do not have appropriate level of technology in the agriculture sector. And to counter very high IMR. So the number of children who were dying within 1 year of their birth, that was also high. Because of that also, the birth rate was high. There was high death rate, again because of poor healthcare and lack of hygiene, right? So you can see death rate as well as birth rate, both are high. Both are high. Death rate is approximately 40 and birth rate is approximately 45 per thousand. So this is the trend which we can see before 1920. Stage 2 between 1920 to 1985. This is the stage of population explosion because the birth rate is high. You can see birth rate is high and death rate is falling rapidly, right? Birth rate is high, death rate is falling rapidly. Because of that, we are in the population explosion. Why death rate is falling? Death rate is falling because of improvements in the healthcare and sanitation, right? Stage 3, right? So we entered into stage 3 after 1985. After 1985. So here the birth rate also started falling. Death rate is also falling, right? The death rate is leveling off. Birth rate is starting to decline. India currently is in the later half of the stage 3. So we are just to enter into the stage 4. So is it clear to everyone? Any doubt till now? अभी तक किसी को कोई doubt है in this theory?
No, sir.
ठीक है. चलिए so let us start with the next theory, that is the Malthus theory of population growth. So some core principles of this theory. First, food is necessary for human existence. Human population tends to grow faster than the power in the earth to produce the production subsistence. So the earth's power to produce the food is less than the human's power to produce the child. And because of these two unequal powers, there is population explosion. Okay? And to control this population explosion, we should adopt the preventive checks. Okay? So let us see in detail. So in 1798, he published these two principles, that population grows at the geometric rate from 1, 2, 4, 16, 32. So population is increasing exponentially. Okay? But the food production or subsistence resources, they are increasing in arithmetic rate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, very slowly. Right? So there will be a time when the population level will cross the available food level. तो एक टाइम ऐसा आएगा जब जो अवेलेबल पॉपुलेशन होगी वो हमारी फूड रिसोर्सेज से एक्सीड कर जाएगी. So at that point of time there will be the disaster, right? So see this diagram. The production of food is increasing in the arithmetic manner. The population is growing in the geometrical manner. So at this point of time, the population has exceeded the carrying capacity. This production of food is indicating carrying capacity of the nature, right? So ये carrying capacity है nature की. The population has exceeded. That means the problems will start. The diseases can start. Famines will start. Civil wars will start after this point. So after this point, there will be struggle for the resources. There will be struggle for the resources. So you can see population is growing geometrically. Population exceeds the carrying capacity. This is carrying capacity. And here population is kept in check, preventive or positive check. So we have to take some preventive or positive check. So this is, we are controlling the population through some kind of check. This is called population crash. We are actually reducing the population through preventive or positive check. What is the meaning of preventive or positive check? We will discuss. So Malthus said that at one point of time the food resources will be short. एक समय ऐसा आएगा जब food resources कम पड़ेंगी. So now there are two solutions possible. दो solutions possible हैं. One way can be in the form of positive check. Another way can be in the form of preventive check. Positive check are taken by the nature in the form of famines, diseases, natural disasters like floods, drought, etc. Right? So if human beings continue to exploit the nature beyond its carrying capacity, then all of these things will start. ये चीजें start हो जाएंगी. ठीक है? Preventive check. That means the humankind can take the preventive steps. preventive steps like postponing the marriage age, use of contraception, etc. So we can follow preventive steps. So we can follow either negative check, or they are also called as the preventive steps. Under this preventive step, we try to decrease the birth rate. तो हम लोग birth rate को कम करना शुरू कर दें. Birth rate कैसे कम हो सकता है? Through abstinence or postponement of marriage, which will lower down the fertility rate. Right? These are the checks which are applied by the human being. So these are the man-made steps. Right? And Malthus said that he has seen the distress which was caused because of large families, especially in the working and poor classes. So this theory has been suggested, these negative checks have been suggested especially for those people who are in the working class, the poor class, who do not have the sufficient access to resources. So especially those people should avoid increasing the family size, because with the increase in the family size comes the distress, comes the trouble. So especially working and poor classes, these classes should control the birth rate in their families. Otherwise, if this is not done, then positive check will be taken by the nature, through increased death rate, by way of famine, disease, or maybe in the form of civil war, which will increase the mortality rate and even reduce the लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी रेट. ठीक है, तो दोनों में से एक काम तो करना ही होगा. मालथूशियन कैटास्ट्रोफ और मालथूशियन क्राइसिस और मालथूशियन डिजास्टर और मालथूशियन नाइटमेयर. व्हाट इज दिस? सो सिंपली, व्हेन population growth exceeds the food growth, then we call it Malthusian catastrophe. ठीक है, but this theory was also criticized इसलिए हुई थी because the assumption that food resources will increase in arithmetical progression and geometrical progression of population growth, it was never proved through scientific means, right? Malthus did not consider improvements in the technology. So as of now, in the developed countries, we see good technology where per hectare productivity can be increased, right? So the technological improvement were not envisaged, were not anticipated by the Malthus. ठीक है, तो improved agricultural methods were not determined, were not anticipated by the Malthus. Then Malthus did not succeed in connecting positive and preventive check with the theory. तो ये कुछ theory की limitations हैं. Then some of the other experts, they criticized because Malthus failed to see that surplus population is connected to surplus wealth also. So surplus population means more ability to harness the resources, surplus wealth, surplus capital, and surplus landed property. So those things were criticized for the Malthus. The next theory is Marx theory. Marx theory. So Marx theory क्या बोलती है? Marx theory says that the high population is there because of high economic inequality caused by capitalist system. So Marx was the critic of the capitalist system. He was opposed to the capitalist system. He said that in the capitalist system there are two classes. One is the owners or capitalists. Another is the workers. So he said that these capitalists, they they are accumulating property through profit, right? And this accumulation of property, it is resulting into inequality of distribution of the resources. So the resources which would have been available to the poor people, they are being accumulated by the capitalist people. Okay. Now coming to the workers, because they have less resources, they think that more hand will bring more income. They think if I have a more number of children, they will work in the factories and they will bring more number of children. Okay. So this is the mentality of the worker. So the worker are adopting this mentality because of poverty, right? This poverty has been caused by the capitalist, because the capitalists are accumulating the wealth, right? And one more thing, because of more hand, more income, there is increasing population of the poor people. When poor people population is increasing, that means from the point of view of capitalist, the more workers are available, right? When more workers are available, then the wage rate are less, right? So when workers number will be more, then capitalist will have to pay less wages. So increasing population of the poor is a beneficial proposition for the capitalist people. So जो increasing population है वो capitalist के लिए हमेशा beneficial है. So this is a vicious cycle. Marx says this is a vicious cycle, that capitalists are accumulating the property, which is leading to inequality, leading to the poverty among the worker class. Worker class think that more hand will bring more income. They give birth to more number of children, anticipating that more number of children will bring more income, which is resulting into lower wages, because the more working population have to fight with each other. They have to compete with each other in case of for the wage. So this gives benefit to the capitalist people. Capitalist people have more number of people to work, right? More number of people to work. So this is beneficial for the capitalist people. So this capitalist system is the root cause of increasing population, increasing poverty, increasing unemployment. Why increasing unemployment? Because these capitalists, when they accumulate the property and wealth, then they deploy more number of machinery, and because of machinery, the less number of workers are required, leading to the unemployment and poverty among the working class, right? So capitalist class is responsible for everything. ठीक है? तो ये आपकी थ्योरी थी मार्क्स की. मार्क्स ने बोला कि दुनिया में जितने भी समस्याएं हैं वो कैपिटलिस्ट सिस्टम की वजह से हैं. ठीक है? But if we see reality, even in the communist countries, example include China, we can see huge population, and the government has to put one child norm even in the countries like China. ठीक है? तो चाइना में कैपिटलिस्ट सिस्टम नहीं था स्टार्टिंग में, अभी जाके हुआ है, फिर भी वहां पर पॉपुलेशन बहुत फास्ट ग्रो हुआ. ठीक है? मार्क्स बोलता था, Marx said, when there will be equal distribution of income among the people, when there will be equal distribution of income, then there will be no poor. When there is no poor, the people will not grow more number of children. Then automatically the population will be controlled. There will be harmony in the society, right? There will be no struggle between the people. Okay? So this was the thought process of Marx. But actually, practically, this, अगर practically देखते हैं तो this was not the true. This was not the truth. So this is the theory of Marx. So general assumptions of the Marx, there is no natural or universal law of population. So this Marx theory came opposite to the Malthus. तो Malthus ने बोला that high population Because of high population growth rate, population grows in the geometrical manner. Because of the high population growth rate, there is high poverty. ठीक है? So it is not the capitalist system or any other reason, but just because of high population growth rate, which is a natural phenomena. ठीक है? तो इसमें capitalist system की कोई गलती नहीं है. Marx said that this Malthus theory is basically the propaganda of the capitalist people, right? It is, you know, it is avoiding, it is actually hiding the fact that it is the high poverty among the worker classes, high poverty and inequality among the worker classes, which is leading them to produce more people, more children, leading to the high population, right? So this question was already asked in the mains examination GS paper 1, that whether high population leads to high poverty or high poverty leads to high population. Give your views in support of your view. Okay? So in that case, we have to quote both of these theory, and we have to quote the criticism of both of these theory, and then we have to give the suggestion. The suggestion is that none of these theories is completely true, right? None of these theories is completely true. There is also one demographic theory, demographic transition theory, which says that according to the economic development status, according to the improvement in the health facilities, from one time to another time, the birth and death rate keep changing, and accordingly the population growth rate also keep changing, right? So there are other factors also, not only these factors. And overall population growth rate is a result of a variety of factors. It is not a very straight proposition, right? So you can see Marx said there is no universal or natural law of population. Population growth is related to economic system and both are inseparable. तो मार्क्स ने बोल दिया कि भाई सारी गलती कैपिटलिस्ट की है, ठीक है, और किसी की कोई गलती नहीं है, ठीक है. तो इंडिया में जैसे हम देखते हैं, जो एंटी बीजेपी हैं वो बोलते हैं कि सारी गलती हिंदुओं की है, सारी गलती बीजेपी की है, सारी गलती आरएसएस की है. जो आरएसएस वाले हैं वो बोलते हैं कि सारी गलती कांग्रेस की है, सारी गलती लिबरल्स की है, ठीक है. तो दोनों एक दूसरे को एलिगेशन लगाने में लगे हुए हैं. When there are allegation, then none of them are true. Both of them are basically being biased. None of them are being meritorious. None of them are being rational. ठीक है. So this Marx theory is also not completely rational theory, right? This is more of motivated and biased theory. So to Marx, poverty and unemployment rate were not due to increased population. उसने बोला ये poverty increased population की वजह से नहीं है. माल्थस ने जो बोला वो गलत है. But due to capitalist system which failed to provide jobs. ठीक है. तो capitalist ने मशीनरी लगा ली. They are investing into the machinery, because of which they required less number of people to work, and people are unemployed, they are poor, and they produce more number of children. Economic inequality is the main cause of difference in the birth rate, right? So among the capitalist class, birth rate is low. Among the working class, birth rate is high. Among the capitalist class, people have more resources. They do not require extra hand for extra income. So birth rate is low. Now, Marx believed that the nature of economic relations in the Europe's industrial societies, economic relations का मतलब क्या हो गया? That is capitalist system, which divides the society into capitalist and the working class. He dismissed Malthusian notion, है ना? He dismissed Malthusian notion that rising world population rather than capitalism was the cause of ills. ठीक है? तो दोनों ही एक दूसरे को अपोज कर रहे हैं. Marx argued that when society is well ordered, that is there is equality, increase in population should lead to greater wealth, not hunger and misery. In contrast, he saw that problem was evils of the capitalist system. excess labor supply, it leads to low cost of labor, resulting into more profit to the capitalist. तो मार्क्स बोलता था extra working class population means more profit to the capitalist, and less production of food is because of zamindari system or landlord system, right? Because few people are controlling the resources, therefore the land resources, the agricultural resources are not harnessed properly. They are not able to produce sufficient amount of food, right? So this is because of control of the zamindars or landlords, which are basically nothing but the capitalists. Marx was of the view that in a socialist society, reproductive behavior would develop a complete harmony between the individual and the society. Critics: in communist countries, population growth rate was checked by the government. Examples include the countries like China. Okay? So critics therefore argue that if the economic inequality is the main cause of difference in the birth rate, then these communist countries' birth rate should have not been do not have differed, since inequalities ended in this political system. ठीक है? तो कम्युनिस्ट सिस्टम में तो इनइक्वालिटी खत्म हो गई थी, लेकिन फिर भी बर्थ रेट अलग-अलग क्लास के अंदर अलग-अलग था. Any doubt as of now? Did you get all these three theories? आप लोग समझ गए? My purpose was that you can answer the main question also, right? That is why I discussed. Okay, great. Now, moving ahead, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Trends in the crude birth rate and crude death rate. So we can see here both birth rate and death rate were very high between 1900 and 1920. ठीक है? Then this birth rate, it started falling, and death rate fall very rapidly. Life expectancy in 1920s, life expectancy was just 20 years of age, right? So on an average age was very less, right? So average age 20 years का मतलब ये नहीं है कि इंसान सिर्फ 20 years जीते थे. It is the average. मतलब some people they used to die at 100 years of age, some people used to die at 2 years of age, 3 years of age. So average was 20 years. ऐसा नहीं है कि 20 years में सब मर जाते थे, ठीक है? ऐसा नहीं है ना? So people used to have long life also, 100 year, more than 100 year also. But if we see average, like there was huge number of children who were dying. Because of that, life expectancy was less. Okay? So as the death rate fall, as people have more years to live, this life expectancy started increasing. We can see there is increase. So even at the time of independence, this was between it was around 32 years, right? And now we have it around 66 years. So अभी हमारा जो average life expectancy है वो around 66 years. So we can see as a result of ongoing transition, India's population has increased from 238 million in 1901. So 1901 में हमारी population कितनी थी? Just 23 crore, right? To 121 crore in 2011. ठीक है? So now we have added approximately 100 crore more people since last 120 years. ठीक है? The pace was slow up to 1920. So population growth was slow up to 1921. Why? Because of high death rate. We were in the first stage. इसलिए 1921 तक जो pace है वो slow था. It accelerated after 1951 with decadal increase rising to 20%. After 1951, the death rate started declining. Because of that, the population rate started increasing. Some slowing down of the pace was noticed after 2001 census. 2001 के बाद में जो population growth rate है उसको slow हो गया. The latest census has shown a clear fall to a decadal growth rate of 17.6%. The latest census is basically 2001 to 2011. In this decade, the decadal growth rate was 17.6%. That is, the annual rate is approximately 1.6%. India's trajectory of growth has turned downward, though the population trajectory is high. ठीक है? तो growth rate is declining, but population is increasing. ठीक है? तो स्पीड कम हो गई है इंक्रीज की, लेकिन इंक्रीज तो हो ही रहा है. So we can see here trend in the population size and growth rate between 1901 to 2011, right? So this indicates growth rate. In 1920 growth rate was very slow. ठीक है? So around 100 years ago there was Spanish flu. जैसे आज कोरोना है वैसे ही उस समय स्पेनिश फ्लू आया था. At that point of time, lot of people died. That is why we can see this is a landmark, time of 1920. ठीक है? So the growth rate became very poor at this point of time. You can see almost zero growth rate. ठीक है? It started increasing approximately at the time of independence. The growth rate was around 1.25% annual growth rate. Then it kept increasing. Here it was approximately 2% in 2001, and it started declining. So now it is 1.76%, right? And the new data of 2021 has yet to come. ठीक है? So this is the overall growth trend of the population growth rate. ठीक है? So in the latest data, there has been declining growth rate as compared to the earlier growth rate. So again, the same data given in another slide. So this is the anticipated. ये anticipated हमारा है data आगे का. So we are anticipating that the growth rate will come down. In 2025, this growth rate will be 1%. In 2050, it will be slightly more than 0%. In 2075, this will be in negative. ठीक है? And in 2100, this will be further more negative. ठीक है? So our population will decline. After certain time. ठीक है? Now this is the data. Birth rate per 1,000 person. In 1951, at the time of independence, it was 39.9. Death rate was 27.4. So how much was the growth rate? It was approximately 12.3. ठीक है? Latest data, 2019 data. So this data is not from the census, but it is an estimated data. ये estimated data है. Birth rate is approximately 17.6%. Death rate is 7.3. That means the growth rate is approximately 10.3. ठीक है? So growth rate has declined. Then population in 1951, at the time of independence, our population was 36 crore. In 2019, as per the estimate, this is 138 crore. अभी हमारी population है estimated 138 crore है. This is not the exact figure. Exact figure will come next year only. Density per square kilometer. In 1951, it was approximately 117, and now this is 460. Coming to the age structure. age structure. So the dependency ratio has fallen from 92% to 65%. The broad age group. So this is the data of 2001, which is outdated. So we are not taking this data. Let us see the latest data in the coming slides. So this is much better data. Trends in broad age distribution from 1971 to 2011. So we can see 0 to 14 and 60 plus. So here you can see they are giving 60 plus also, 15 to 59, right? So जहाँ पे भी डाटा आपको दिया हुआ होगा वहाँ पर आपको ये भी बताया गया होगा कि वो कितना एज ग्रुप को कंसीडर कर रहे हैं. So in this case, these are the dependent people and these are the dependent people. So here approximately 30% and here approximately 5%. So 35% are the dependent people and these around 65% people are the working age people. These are the working age people. So in India, we have the window of demographic opportunity. I already told you, we are having the window, but to harness this window, to capitalize that window, we have to employ these working age people in the gainful population. We have to provide them education, we have to provide them skills, we have to provide them information, and we have to provide them good employment, right? Over time, the large bulge of population will move from working age population to old age, raising the old age dependency. So at that time, we will require the old age support. Now, the concept of population pyramid, right? So at this point of time, we should also know population pyramid or age sex pyramid. Okay? So what is the meaning of population pyramid or age sex structure? Age sex structure basically means the number of female and male in different age group. How much male in the age group of 0 to 14, between 15 to 59, or more than that. Okay? Population pyramid actually indicates the age sex structure. So population pyramid is the visual presentation of the age sex structure. In the population pyramid, the left side shows the percentage of male and right side shows the percentage of female, right? And there are three different types of population pyramid. Let us see the three different types of the population pyramid. Okay? So ये आपके, this is the first type of pyramid. In this pyramid, we can see this is having the triangular shape. A triangular shape है, where the base is wide. That means the birth rate is high. The children in the age group of 0 to 14 are high. Okay? And in the old age group, there are very, very low number of people, right? So this is the scenario of less developed countries. Triangular shaped pyramid, right? So this is indicating expanding population. Then constant population. ठीक है? तो India is in this shape only. India का हम और भी देखेंगे आकर के. Not exactly, India is not exactly in this shape, right? We will see constant population. So here age sex pyramid is bell shaped है ना? And tapered towards the top. ठीक है? So birth and death rate are almost equal, leading to near constant population. ठीक है? Then we have declining population, where the base is narrow because the ratio of children is less, the birth rate is low. Okay? And the death rate is also low. So in the higher age group, we have more people, right? Death rate is also low. That is why here also we have the more people as compared to the earlier pyramid. Okay? In all these three pyramids, you can see male on the left side and female on the right side. This will give you a comparison between the male and the female. ठीक है कि female के अंदर क्या है और male के अंदर क्या structure है. नाउ कमिंग टू द इंडिया, इंडिया का स्टेटस क्या था? सो इंडिया में इन 1961 वी कैन सी this wide base, right? In 1981 this wide base it changed a bit, so the children in the age group of 5 to 14 they increased. In the 1961 the children in the age group of 0 to 4 were high. In 2001 we can see the people in this age group, like the birth rate is high still, and the people are moving from this age to this age group. In 2026 we are expecting that most number of people will be in the high, most of the people will be in the working age group, right? So we can see this is the working age group from 15 onwards till here. So the more and more people will come in this group. The old age people will be less, and the birth rate will also fall down. You can see the birth rate is decreasing, right? So this is the demographic window of opportunity. So you can see 2011 में ये था हमारा, ठीक है? 2031 में ये हमारा projected है. This is another data. Total, if we see in the 15 to 59, 65% people, ठीक है? 15 to 64, 68, ठीक है? तो डाटा में हमें दोनों ही डाटा दिया हुआ है. The government can use any of these data. Both the data has been given, ठीक है? Between 0 to 14 we have 26, and 65 plus we have 5, right? So dependency ratio is 26 plus 5, that is 31%, and 68% is the working age population. For rural and urban this is separate. So we can see 71% in the urban area. So working age population is more in the urban area because people are moving from rural to urban area. The population is migrating from rural to urban area. This is one reason why we can see more working age people in the urban area. India has entered the phase of falling fertility, ठीक है, thereby reducing the natural degrowth. So we have already seen between 2001 to 2011 the population growth rate declined. Though uncontrolled population growth rate is no longer an issue, population is still on the rise, and we will overtake China by 2030. Mortality and IMR has fallen in India, but still it continues to be higher than the other countries. What are the causes and effect of the overpopulation? Overpopulation क्यों होती है? Friends, I have given analytical stuff more in the study material. ठीक है, यहाँ पर इतना ज़्यादा analysis मेरा नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैं. Here my focus is more upon the facts, right? My focus is more upon the concept and facts, less on the analysis. But still, I am touching little bit about the analysis also. More details about the cause and effect of population I have given in the study material. You should go through that also. ठीक है? But still, primarily, why we have high population, early marriage, and marriage age is very, very less. That increases the number of childbearing age group. ठीक है? And we have universal marriage. आप मतलब इंडिया में यूनिवर्सल मैरिज सिस्टम है, शादी तो सबकी होनी है. आप आईएएस बनो मत बनो, शादी तो आपकी होगी ही होगी. ठीक है, तो चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आईएएस नहीं भी बनोगे तब भी शादी तो आपकी होगी. रिक्शे वाले की भी शादी होती है, ठीक है, सबकी शादी होती है. विद ड्यू रेस्पेक्ट टू एवरीवन, सबकी शादी होती है, चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ठीक है. पॉवर्टी एंड इलिटरेसी, दिस इज अनदर रीजन. पीपल थिंक मोर हैंड विल ब्रिंग मोर इनकम, राइट? इलिटरेसी, they do not understand the adverse impact of the population. वो सोचते हैं कि बहुत सारे भाई बहन तो होने चाहिए. एज ओल्ड कल्चरल नॉर्म, ज्यादा बच्चे भगवान की देन है, ये भी एक रिलीजियस थॉट है. इलीगल माइग्रेशन, पीपल आर माइग्रेटिंग फ्रॉम अदर कंट्रीज, रोहिंग्यास एंड अदर पीपल, दैट इज आल्सो इंक्रीजिंग द पॉपुलेशन. ठीक है, these are some of the causes, and there are other causes also, right? what are the impacts, adverse impact? High unemployment, pressure on infrastructure, pressure on resources, and decreased production and increased cost. Other बहुत सारे और भी impact है. Government has been taking various measures to control the population immediately after the independence. So immediately after the independence, we were among the first countries, in fact, the first country to start the formal family planning program. So India is basically first country. India is basically the first country to start the family planning program immediately after the independence. Okay. So before the independence, why there was general support for the population control? So even during the national movement, we already decided that we will increase the awareness about the adverse impact of the population. So freedom fighters were clear that immediately after the independence, there will be big problem of the population growth. Okay. So in 1952, we started with the Gandhian approach. Okay. We started state-sponsored family planning program, Gandhian approach of abstinence, okay, and rhythm as the main methods. So Gandhian approach को follow करना शुरू किया of the abstinence, okay. In 1950 to 1960, we started focusing on clinical approach. Clinical approach means we started thinking of researching in the reproduction, of developing the knowledge, attitude, and practices for controlling the population, estimating the demographic rate and ratio, bringing more studies, and economic models suggested that a negative relationship will be there between the population growth and development. So we thought that with the development, automatically the population will reduce. So based upon the demographic transition theory, our thinkers thought that with the increase in the economic growth as a result of economic planning, the population will automatically get controlled. Okay. Between 1960 to 1970, extension program, IUCD means sterilizing the women, targeted orientation, organizational changes, etc. All these programs started. These are not that much important for you, but still you should understand briefly what happened over a period of time. From 1970 to 80, camp approach. So this was very controversial during the time of national emergency. There were allegations that camp were there and people were forcefully sterilized. Okay, especially the male. So males were forcefully sterilized. There were the allegations. Okay. The concept of mass camps. First population policy was announced at this point of time. Okay. Janata government, which came after the downfall of Indira Gandhi government, they asserted voluntarism. So during the Indira Gandhi government, there was forced sterilization of the men, and Janata government said that let it be voluntary. In 1990, we adopted cafeteria approach. We focused upon the family size. हमने बोला हम दो हमारे दो, ठीक है? We focused on the family size rather than on the contraception. So our focus moved away from the contraception to the family size, that people should have controlled population. ठीक है? तो आजकल एक सीरीज चल रही है Amazon Prime पे, मैं उसको अभी फॉलो कर रहा हूँ, पिछले 2-3 दिन से उसको देख रहा हूँ, डेली आधा एक घंटा देखता हूँ मैं. उसका नाम है पंचायत. ठीक है, Amazon Prime पे काफी अच्छी सीरीज है पंचायत, और काफी फैमिली टाइप की सीरीज है. और उसमें भी एक पॉइंट पर उसमें एक स्लोगन दिया गया है कि 2 बच्चे खीर और 2 से ज्यादा बच्चे बवासीर, ऐसा कुछ बोला गया है। काफी कंट्रोवर्सी हुई थी, मतलब उस एक एपिसोड में दिखाया गया था कि उसकी वजह से पूरे गांव वाले जो है वो प्रधान के खिलाफ आ गए थे। जो गांव का प्रधान होता है, जो विलेज प्रधान होता है, उसके खिलाफ सारे सारे गांव वाले आ गए थे बिकॉज ऑफ दैट पार्टिकुलर स्लोगन। ठीक है, तो अभी भी गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से बहुत सारी स्ट्रेटजी फॉलो हो रही है। वेब सीरीज के थ्रू भी एक मतलब अवेयरनेस जनरेट करने की कोशिश की जा रही है, और जो अलग अलग एफर्ट्स हैं वो गवर्नमेंट कर रही है। ठीक है, 1990 से 2000 के बीच में टारगेट फ्री अप्रोच, कलेक्शन ऑफ डाटा, अबोलिशन ऑफ टारगेट। कोई टारगेट नहीं रखा गया, ठीक है, टारगेट नहीं रखा गया, रादर स्प्रेड ऑफ द अवेयरनेस। हमने अवेयरनेस की बात की। लेट पीपल कम फॉरवर्ड एंड अडॉप्ट द कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन मेजर्स एंड अदर मेजर्स ऑन देमसेल्व्स। ठीक है, आफ्टर 2000 वी आर फॉलोइंग नेशनल पॉपुलेशन पॉलिसी 2000। so this is the policy which is in application as of now, अभी ये एप्लीकेशन में है। ठीक है, तो फर्स्ट पॉपुलेशन पॉलिसी कब आई थी? 1976 में। इसके अंदर हमने क्या किया था? वी रिड्यूस द लीगल मिनिमम एज ऑफ मैरिज फ्रॉम 15 to 18 फॉर फीमेल एंड फ्रॉम 18 to 21 फॉर मेल। ठीक है, तो ये उस समय हमने किया था। द लेटेस्ट पॉलिसी इज 2000 पॉलिसी। इन दिस पॉलिसी, अपार्ट फ्रॉम डीलिंग विद द फर्टिलिटी एंड मोर्टेलिटी रेट, उसके अलावा we are also talking about the women education. When women are educated, they are much more capable to take the decision, and they can basically resist the force of the family to produce more children. So normally it is the practice that it is not the women who want to produce more children, but only because of the family pressure of in-laws, pressure of society, she has to produce more number of children. So women, they face lot of health issues because of this. They are not able to maintain proper distance between the two children. That leads to high population and poor health of the women as well as poor health of the children. ठीक है, तो दोनों का ही जो हेल्थ लेवल होता है वो पुअर होता है। So if we give more education to the women, they will be economically independent, and they can take their own decision when to produce the children. Improve health and nutrition. For that, we are talking about nutrition security, ASHA, Anganwadi system, and this Janani Suraksha Yojana, Janani Shishu Suraksha Yojana, right? Lot of new schemes are coming for health and nutrition. Child survival and health. Again, the concept of ICDS, Integrated Child Development Scheme, immunization programs, right? All these programs are there. Unmet need of family welfare services. That is the contraception. So contraception should be made available at low cost and in very good number of quantity. Planned parenthood. We are actually spreading the awareness that there should be some spacing. There should be some spacing. ठीक है? Healthcare of underserved population group. Objectives क्या है? Immediate objective was to improve the health. Medium term, to bring TFR to the replacement level. What is the meaning of TFR? Total fertility rate. What is replacement level? 2.1. Long term objective, to stabilize the population by 2045. ये long term objective है national population policy 2000 का. Today also this population is in force. ठीक है, this policy is in force. The long term objective is to achieve stable population with suitable level of economic growth, social development in the form of education, health, skills, and environmental protection, so that there is no overburden over the resources. What are the goals till 2010? 2010 तक के गोल थे ये, वो आउटडेट हो चुके हैं। ठीक है, address the unmet needs for basic RCH services. RCH services means contraception, etc. Reproductive and child health care also. RCH means reproductive and child health care. ठीक है, school education up to 14 years of age and compulsory dropout to 20%. So even the RTE, right to education, 2009, this was also introduced as part of the national social socio demographic goals of the 2010. ठीक है? So even the compulsory free education up to the age of 14 years, this is also part of the national population policy. So we want to educate the children, right? Reduce the IMR. IMR means infant mortality rate to 30 per thousand. So this is the target. Reduce MMR. MMR to 10 per 1 lakh, or alternatively 1. This is saying 100 per 1 lakh. Yeah, 100 per 1 lakh or 1 per thousand. ठीक है? Immunization, achieve 100% immunization. We have a scheme of Indradhanush, universal immunization program. Promote delayed marriage of girls, not earlier than 18 and preferably after 20 years of age, right? So postponing the marriage, that will reduce the number of children as well as the health of the mother as well as children will be better. Achieve 80% institutional delivery. For that we have various schemes like Janani Suraksha Yojana, Janani Suraksha Yojana, and 100% delivery by the trained person, so that IMR and MMR both are less. अगर institution delivery होती है, तो the chances of death of the mother and children are very very less. Achieve universal access to the information counseling and services for fertility regulation and contraception with a wide basket of choices. So the people should be having the right information, counseling facilities, and a wide choice of basket for the contraception in the form of medicine, in the form of sterilization, and in the form of spacing and different way out. So they should have a choice. Apart from that, achieve 100% registration of birth, death, marriage, and pregnancy. If there is 100% registration, that means we will have proper data. If we have proper data, our policy will be much better. Promote greater integration between management of AIDS and STD. AIDS and STD means sexually transmitted diseases, right? Preventing and controlling communicable disease. So we want to control the death rate, so that if death rate is reduced, automatically the people will also decrease the birth rate. Promote Indian system of medicine, Ayush, ठीक है? Ayurved, Unani, Siddha, Yoga. Promote small family norm to achieve replacement level of TFR. हम दो हमारे दो. Implementation of related social sector programs, so that family welfare becomes a people-centric program. These are important statistics of 2011 census. This data will be, needs to be updated. But still, you can see decadal growth rate of 17.64%, population density of 384, 382, sex ratio 940, and population in the age group of 0 to 6 is 13.12%. Literacy is more for the male and less for the female. Total is 74%. Now, ongoing measures for the control of population. तो population control करने के लिए अभी इस समय पे क्या measures follow हो रहे हैं? So any doubt, anyone as of now? किसी को कोई doubt हो अभी तक जो भी हमने discuss किया है उसमें? So let us start. What are the ongoing interventions for the population growth control? ठीक है, तो what are we doing? अभी इस समय हम क्या कर रहे हैं? We are focusing on the spacing methods by using the women sterilization, right? So temporary sterilization होता है for 3 years, 5 years as per the choice of the women. So these temporary spacing methods are there. Availability of fixed day static services. So जो services हैं, the services about counseling, sterilization. So the health center they can adopt a fixed day in a week. तो हर हफ्ते फ्राइडे को सर्विसेज अवेलेबल होंगी. इस तरह का सिस्टम बहुत सारे हॉस्पिटल्स फॉलो कर रहे हैं. प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर सेंटर, सेकेंडरी हेल्थ केयर सेंटर, टर्शरी हेल्थ केयर सेंटर, बहुत सारे हेल्थ केयर सेंटर इस तरह का सिस्टम यूज कर रहे हैं that they fix a particular day. On that day anyone can come and take the services for sterilization, information counseling, etc. Quality care, quality assurance. So if sterilization is happening, there is risk of the health of the women or men. ठीक है, so there will be quality assurance by the state and the districts. Improving contraceptive supply to the peripheral facilities. Demand generation, so awareness करना through display of poster, billboards, audio video material. ठीक है, तो demand create करना, awareness create करना. If something mishappening happens, providing the insurance facility. Compensation for loss of wage. If some person is coming to the health center losing the wage because of sterilization, so in that case the government will provide the compensation also. ठीक है, मेल पार्टिसिपेशन को एनकरेज करना एंड रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ ओनली एमबीबीएस डॉक्टर. ठीक है, नॉट पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट गायनेकोलॉजिस्ट और सर्जन्स. सो दिस विल increase the number of people who can actually support the sterilization. Accreditation of more private NGO facilities to provider base. So more private organizations and NGOs they will be encouraged. New interventions. और क्या intervention है? Home delivery of contraceptive by the ASHAs at the doorstep beneficiary. Scheme of ASHAs to ensure spacing in birth. ठीक है, so they are also providing the services to the newlywed couples to ensure there is a delay of years in birth after marriage and one children after having a space of 3 years. ठीक है, then there are other devices which are being promoted. New interventions which are introduced very recently. Pregnancy test kits, reproductive maternal newborn child health care, family planning division. It is working for increasing the financials to the program and increasing the access to the program. Then we have one population stabilization fund. This population stabilization fund is part of the national population policy only. In this fund we have 3 strategies. One Prerna strategy, Sanskruti strategy and national helpline. ठीक है, so under the Prerna strategy, जननी सुरक्षा कार्यक्रम has been launched to push up the age of marriage of girl and delay in first child and spacing in second child of the children birth. So the purpose is to provide the awareness and other facilities working on the change of mindset, awareness. ठीक है, संस्कृति strategy. Under this program, जनसंख्या स्थिरता कोष invites private sector gynos and other surgeons to conduct sterilization operation in the PPP mode. ठीक है, national helpline providing all the counseling through free call center. Anyone can call and get the counseling under this activity. Providing IEC activities. What is the meaning of IEC? Information education counseling. ठीक है, so information education counseling with the partnership of ministries, development partners like NGO, private companies, corporates, professional bodies through electronic media, print media, workshop and all other activities. Then the recent development is Population Regulation Bill 2019. This bill was proposed in July 2019 as a private member bill. ठीक है, so this is not proposed by the government but by one of the member of parliament. किसी member of parliament ने ये propose किया था. This bill calls for the 2 children policy. ठीक है, तो अभी ये this is not the government bill. You are not supposed to know each and everything, but you can see कि क्या इसमें proposal क्या थे, क्या बताया गया था इस बिल के अंदर, क्या कॉन्सेप्ट थे इस बिल के, वो हम देख सकते हैं, ठीक है। तो कॉन्सेप्ट ही गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज शुड प्रोवाइड अंडरटेकिंग अकॉर्डिंग टू विच ही और शी नॉट टू प्रोक्रिएट मोर देन 2 चिल्ड्रन। अगर आप गवर्नमेंट जॉब में जा रहे हो तो यू शुड नॉट प्रोक्रिएट मोर देन 2 चिल्ड्रन, ठीक है। The benefit to the central government or central PSU employees for adopting 2 children norm, तो क्या बेनिफिट होंगे, एक एडिशनल उनको सैलरी का इंक्रीमेंट मिलेगा, उनको सब्सिडी मिलेगी परचेज ऑफ हाउसिंग के लिए, ऑल दीज फैसिलिटीज, ठीक है। ये एक्स्ट्रा फैसिलिटीज अवेलेबल होंगी टू द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय, ठीक है। तो दो फैसिलिटी एम्प्लॉयमेंट वाले केस में, और even the subsidy will be reduced if anyone is having more than 2 children, right? Less benefit will be available under the public distribution system, ठीक है। However, those government employees who already have more than 2 children, they will be exempted, right? The citizen with more than 2 children should not be qualified to being chosen as MP, MLA, member of local government, right? So मतलब अगर आप 2 से ज्यादा बच्चे पैदा करते हो तो आप गवर्नमेंट जॉब नहीं कर सकते हो, आप MP, MLA, मिनिस्टर नहीं बन सकते हो, ठीक है। So this was the proposal. There are different views whether this proposal is right or not, whether population regulation is required or not. These are the pro bill and against bill, pro argument and against argument. So pro argument, according to report by 2027, India will probably become most populous country. अगर हम लोग मोस्ट पॉपुलस बनने वाले हैं तो वी शुड एक्चुअली रेगुलेट, ठीक है। प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ मैरिजेबल एज ग्रुप इज हाई, तो हम लोगों ने देखा कि द यंग एज ग्रुप इज वेरी वेरी हाई, द यंग पीपल बिटवीन 15 to 35 years of age are approximately 65% of the total population. So that is, marriageable age is very very high, they will produce further children, so our population is going to explode, ठीक है। 11 northern and eastern state, they contribute 42% of the population, ठीक है। तो northern और eastern states में बहुत ज्यादा population है, we have to control this population. Around 72 district in such state or UTs have the growth rate of population of 4 children per women, ठीक है। तो 72 district के अंदर average TFR क्या है, 4 है, which is very very high. Literacy rate is still 74%, but how literacy directly affect the population growth, that is not clear. तो literacy rate तो अभी भी काफी अच्छा है, लेकिन ज्यादा literacy rate से भी कुछ ज्यादा फायदा हो नहीं रहा है, ठीक है। Then there are arguments against this bill. तो वो कहते हैं कि अभी जो हमारा TFR है that is just 2.16 and we require 2.1, so we should not regulate the population, ठीक है। And we say that if we restrict the number of children, then India may not have enough educated young population at the time of technological revolution. तो अगर हम नए बच्चे नहीं पैदा करेंगे तो we will not have much tech savvy population which will be a resource in the future tech savvy world. We may also face a negative population growth just like western countries, ठीक है। Moreover, tax rate will eventually increase as the less young people will be there. तो जब young people कम होंगे तो tax rate automatically कम हो जाएगा. And some people are saying it will discriminate against the women since their birth, ठीक है। तो इससे क्या होगा कि the discrimination against the girl will increase, ठीक है, ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ठीक है। क्योंकि जब 2 ही बच्चे होंगे तो अगर फर्स्ट गर्ल हो गई तो the parent will always try the second child should not be the girl, so there will always be discrimination, there will be abortions, there will be sex reduction test that will be uncontrollable, ठीक है। Restriction on having more children can lead couples to opt for sex selective abortions due to son matter preference, ठीक है। son matter preference की वजह से sex selective abortions की probability बढ़ जाएगी, ठीक है। तो this was about the population control bill 2009.